Hey guys, it's Mr. Ward. Welcome to my perimeter and surface area unit. First, I'd like to take a minute just to talk about our goals for this unit. Since we're doing geometry, our goals are to understand measurement and space for a particular object or figure. Our second goal is to use perimeter and area in real-world situations. And lastly, to determine size and structure based off of geometric formulas for these figures or shapes. If you're wondering why we're learning this, some of the standards are covered right here on this slide. If you'd like, you can click on any one of the two and it'll bring you to a link that shows you exactly what we're learning and why. Okay, so let's jump into the vocabulary before we get into the lesson, because without vocabulary we won't really understand exactly what we're talking about or learning. So the two main vocab words I have for you today are perimeter and surface area. Up here it says perimeter, the distance or measurement around a shape or object. And surface area is the sum or the total of all the area of all the shapes that cover the surface of an object: cube, rectangle, prism, cylinder, such as the ones listed in front of you. So let's take a look at a few examples of perimeter and area. As you can see here, we have figure 1 and figure 2. Outlined in red shows exactly what the perimeter would be measuring. It's the distance around an object. And in this case, we have a rectangle, so we're talking about the distance around that rectangle. Over here with surface area, we have our figure and it's fully red. As you noticed before, the outline is much like a fence for perimeter if you're talking about a yard. But now for area, we're talking about the grass, the land, the space inside of that perimeter. You're also probably wondering, how do we solve for these things like perimeter and area? Well, formulas. That's right. Just like a lot of other things in math, we use formulas to determine the answer to these particular geometric problems. So the formulas for perimeter is to add up the sum of all the outside lines of the figure, as the definition said earlier. So the equation would be side plus side plus side plus side. For all four sides, when you add them up, that would be the perimeter of this rectangular shape. Area is a little different. Area, you would be multiplying the length times the width to get the surface area of this particular red rectangle right here. Now, these don't have numbers. I just wanted to show you that no matter what the numbers are, what the measurements are, the formula never changes. So as long as you know the formulas, you can input the numbers to where they need to be, and the answer should come out the same every time. Now we're going to take that example that we've been using for these last couple of slides and actually insert numbers, these measurements. So we have, say, inches or feet. Let's just say feet, 8 feet, 4 feet, 8 feet, 4 feet. Since these are parallel, they're going to be the same on opposite sides. So for perimeter, you would just add 8, 4, 8, and 4 to get your answer. Now don't get confused, because people tend to make the mistake for area to do the same thing as perimeter. You're not adding 12, 10, 12, and 10 for area. You're only multiplying length, which is 12, times your height or width, which is 10. So you're going to get two different answers here. I'll give you guys a few seconds to figure out what would be the answer for the perimeter of this image and what would be the area of this image. Few more seconds. Did you get it? Okay, I'm going to be forced to reveal the answer in 3, 2, 1. Okay, did you get 24 feet for the perimeter and 120 for the area? If you did, you're off to a great start for this introduction lesson. The final piece to this little mini activity for the introduction of geometry and figures is the activity. Now that you've been introduced to perimeter and surface area and had the example problem to work with, go on to this web link provided below to complete today's lesson. If you need to, you can always go back through the slides to look at the definitions or the vocabulary or even the examples to make sure that you understand it before jumping into today's activity. Once you click on today's activity, you will see a whole web site dedicated towards learning perimeter and area on this. And let me just go through it just a little bit. How to play. You can either pick this if you don't know how to play, but it's pretty self-explanatory. I'm just going to jump right into it. We're going to do perimeter first, or you could do area first. Doesn't matter. So if you forget, there's always little tips up here and on the bottom. Make sure you guys are reading through everything. Let's pick on the rectangle. It even gives you great examples, step-by-steps on how to calculate the perimeter of a rectangle. Pretty straightforward, guys. Looks really good. You can determine what level do you think you're good at. If you think this is easy stuff, you can jump straight to level 3. Let's do level 1 since this is the introductory lesson. As you can see here, we have, looking for a perimeter, 30, 30, 5, and 5. You must input the answer. Hopefully you guys, 30 and 30 equals 60, plus another 5, and another 5 is 70. Input 70. Check your answers. Great. We move on. So, in a nutshell, I want you guys to complete this activity and hopefully come prepared tomorrow to talk a little bit more about perimeter and area. I hope you guys enjoyed this little section in terms of the introduction lesson online. Thanks for looking, and I look forward to seeing you guys in class tomorrow. Thanks.